And power rarities and all of this kind of stuff. And it really started taking shape as this card collection game on the side. And it's been a good, I would say it's been a good diversion for people that just want to play with the Illuvium IP. And in terms of the uh, I would say the most popular characters, everyone is sort of gunning to, or was the set wave one is over now, which is I'll explain that in a sec. But everyone was sort of gunning for those the higher tier and higher stage alluvials. And so Ramfire, I'm fairly certain was the most popular. I think there was about 150 in total that got minted, and then there's a finish that goes on top of it, which can be standard or it can be hollow. So there was only, I think, 12, maybe 13 in the end that have been minted of the hollow Ramfire. And so that's with Adorito and Squiz and Goliath, which are all these like higher tier alluvials. They were the most popular and the most sought after, but also the hardest to mint, right? Based on the algorithm that we created. But the crazy part is that the super fun part is that you can no longer get them anymore. So unless you go and buy an unopened disc, similar to buying an unopened pack of Pokemon cards, the supply is theoretically locked to what is potentially out there. We will never mint any more of those packs, as in we will never print any more of those cards. And that makes it really, really cool and makes them super rare over time. Because if you think about it, once we get to say like not only like wave five of set one, but I'm talking like 3, 4 years from now, if we get to set three, wave three, and people are like randomly opening the last of the wave one set one packs, and someone pulls a Ramfire, it'll be like, oh my god, how crazy is that to pull something so rare and something that you can no longer get. So that's really cool. And we also have a whole bunch of plans for those Illuvitars to eventually make their way into the universe, and there will be functions in the future where if you're holding them, you'll be able to, play certain elements of Illuvium that won't necessarily be available to other people that aren't holding them, which I think is super cool.
Forgive my ignorance. I haven't really played the this version of the card game yet. But is it PvP or is it PvE?
No, it's not a card. Like, it's a card collectible game. So like all you're doing is trying to collect the rarest and most powerful cards, and then there's a leaderboard for it. And that's for now. Like there's obviously plans down the road to turn it into a TCG, but for now it's literally just a card collection game.
Uh-huh. I see. Okay, cool. Yeah, no, based on the sound of things, it sounded almost like similar to Yu-Gi-Oh, where obviously you collect these cards, you can form decks, and then you can play with them, right? So
Not
no, it's really
yet.
cool.
Not yet.
Okay, not yet. Yeah, I mean that's a great answer. I love that answer. It means that it could be a possibility.
No, it's definitely possible. Yeah.
I read that different accessories might give you your Illivitars like different stats. So I was personally excited about that option in the future.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff that we're planning, but again, we're completely run by the community, and so all of these things that we plan to build out in the future, it'll go through the relevant councils and then be voted upon, and if they're approved, then we'll go ahead and build them. If they're not, then we'll build something else that the community wants, which is the the exciting thing about being part of the Illuvium community. You're literally shaping the product roadmap as we go.
Now that is absolutely fantastic because what has made, for example, World of Warcraft so successful was that sense of community and the people being able to interact. So I'd love to hear more about the Illuvium community itself and what you can tell us about, yeah, what's going on because by now it's like the Illuvium family almost.
Yeah, so it's kind of interesting. I call them sub communities now, and then there's obviously the overarching community that is basically the Illuvium Discord. That's where pretty much everything happens, and eventually that will move to be more in game, where we have a whole bunch of social interactions and ways for you to jump into team chats and stuff like that. But for now that the game's not live, it's largely just inside of our Discord. And why I say sub communities is we're starting to see these communities pop up inside the Discord where like Illuvium Beyond has its own dedicated community. It's made up of, I would say, like 5,000 people that go in there and constantly are looking at updates. They're asking each other, what have you pulled? All of this kind of stuff. Then you've got the Illuvium Zero community, which is super super active. Again, a few thousand people in that, and they're always talking about better ways to optimize their land and tips and tricks and stuff like that, always asking when is the next thing going to be released. And same thing with the arena and the overworld. You get, so we've got these four sub communities that are slowly building, like what I would call the super active people that aren't just investors. They're more the gamers, which is really really exciting to see. Because and then, I mean, you could argue that the token channel, that's its own that's its own little degenerate community in itself, and it's quite entertaining to go in there. But that's largely made up of the bigger investors, the ILV holders that we have. And yeah, it's just really exciting to see these four other communities pop up where it's not so much focused on, hey, where is Illuvium's token going to go in the next 6 months? It's more focused on, what are you doing in game? Like, what experience have you had, and can you teach me how you, went about doing what you're doing inside of this specific title. And I think that's only going to grow bigger and bigger and bigger as we start getting closer to public beta.
Amazing. Well, I've got probably two or three questions left on my side. I'll let Uriah ask his as well, and then maybe if you're up for it, we open the stage for the public to ask you everything except one question. Enticingly written that it just capture our attention. So one question is, when can we expect the lore to come out? The second is, since you're developing so many features, how relevant do you think fuel will keep being going into the future to Illuvium? This is coming from the Alpha Group, the seasoned investors' curiosity. And lastly, since we titled it, Kieran, how do you make 10 million playing video games?
Yeah, cool. So lore wise, I actually was surprised to see uh, Aaron leaking a little bit of lore the other day, and I think that's a bit of a gift. There's not going to be too much that gets released prior to the public beta, and I think that's fine, right? Like we made a call very early on that we would be super transparent with our build in terms of leaking art, leaking development updates, and now we've even gone as far as leaking our financials and stuff like that. So we really have tried to be as transparent as possible, but there comes a point where you want, specifically because of our storyline, you want the player to experience it as they go through the different games, and particularly the overworld. You want them to figure out like what it's almost like a movie from start to finish, where you want them at the end to get to that crux point where it's like, oh my god, I can't believe I missed that. Or maybe you make, you know, four or five guesses, like I know what's going to happen at the end here, like I've figured this out, I know what's happening here, and then there's a massive plot twist and you're totally wrong, or maybe you're right, you know, but you want people asking those questions. And if we leak a whole bunch of lore, I just think it's too early to have the it's too early to have people sitting there questioning what is Illuvium right now. If you're not playing it, it almost becomes less of an experience. And so I don't think I've left it completely up to Aaron, but I don't think it's there's going to be too much more leaked until the public beta. In terms of fuel, that is just as important as we were suggesting it was when we released the land. It's the backbone of the Illuvium economy. It's the way that we've created a supply and demand curve for things in the overworld. And you know, I think that creates a meta game in itself, where people are going to be playing the economy. People are going to be generating these resources inside of Illuvium Zero off of their land plot, and they're going to have to make a choice of when they sell that land into the fuel pool, and that will depend. Their choice will create either a good result, a bad result, or whatever it might be, dependent on the supply and demand for on the other side in the overworld. And I think that keeps things interesting. You know, if you go out and you're like, oh, I'm going to sell a whole bunch of my fuel, and you're going to drop the prices of different things like curing shards or traveling or whatever, then you might think, God, I wish I held that and just trickled it through. Then I would have made a lot more from my land resources. But then you might say, well, I needed that money quickly. And so it creates this decision making for the landholders that makes it really interesting. And vice versa, it makes it interesting for the people who are farming in the overworld. It's like, do I really want to be traveling today because the price of travel has gone up quite a bit, or do I just wait until that drops down? And so yeah, again, it creates another game of meta economics, which I think is really really cool.
Oh my God. I just needed to stop and say, oh my God. Please go on. That's wow.
uh, your third question, I'm missing that. Sorry, what was your third question?
Oh, my third question was, how do you make 10 million playing video games?
Right, right. Yeah. So for us, it's pretty simple. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel. You've got in terms of TFT, you've got 20 million plus monthly players. We're going after those guys. In terms of Pokemon, same thing. You're looking at millions and millions and millions of players that have been playing the Pokemon franchise for 2 decades now. We're going after those people. Same thing with Illuvium Zero. We're going after the city builder type games where, again, idle clickers on the App Store and Android, that, you know, there's tens of millions of people that play these games. And the way that we do it is we create a frictionless onboarding process and no barriers to entry when it comes to how much you need to be able to play. You can start playing all of our games without any need for putting in for a wallet or depositing crypto. You can get a taste. You can see what it's like. Start falling in love with that IP, as I said, and then you've once you get a little taste of it, the idea is for us to slowly educate users to come across. And obviously, there's going to be a whole bunch of marketing that goes into that as well. And yeah, you just slowly start converting people over. And I think as well, the last part of that is what people are underestimating is the network effects of uh, how powerful it can be for that ownership of assets. If you connected right now a game that was AAA quality that was the same as Fortnite, and all of these kids could actually own these skins, and there was a marketplace where they could sell them. If you had one from like 3 years ago, there would be other people like, "Oh, I'll pay you anything to be able uh, to be able to sell that to me, and then you can go and buy 20 more skins." Like, that is such a cool experience for a player that the only thing that is stopping it right now is the fact that we don't have a game that's the same quality and fun and exciting and competitive as Fortnite. As soon as you slot that in and then you add on these blockchain features, that's when the unlock happens. And I think people are going to tell hundreds of their friends, "Hey, this is crazy. I know we said NFT gaming was shit and the quality is not there and it's not fun and it's a scam and all this crap, but no, sorry, I've been playing this game for 2 weeks. I've gone and created a whole bunch of value, and I've had super amounts of fun. It's really competitive." I don't think those guys are going back. I just don't think that gaming is going to go backwards at that point, and I think it's going to force over the next 10 years most publishers to move to a blockchain based model. And yeah, so I don't think 10 million people is too much of a stretch, to be completely honest.
Wow. Neither do I. That's brilliant. That's it from me. I'm just gonna let Jirai speak. I'll go on Illuvidex and rinse everything on there. Bye bye.
Yeah, no, I think you've really kind of hit the nail on the head, to be honest, Kieran, with, your plans of, onboarding the kind of next generation of, traditional gamers onto kind of Web3, right? We were actually talking about it in our Discord this morning in the general chat. Well, there were a few members of the community that are talking about it, and instead of talking about kind of Fortnite skins, they were referring more to kind of Call of Duty skins and stuff like that. But yeah, no, I mean, it sounds like you understand very clearly and very from a gamer's point of view, from a traditional gamer's point of view, what the barrier is, where the friction is, right, when it comes to that kind of bridge from Web 2 to Web 3, let's say. So my question originally was going to be, asking about, literally asking about this specific topic, right? Like, are you going to have any sort of like account abstraction in order to kind of like facilitate the onboarding? But I think you've answered it pretty well. So I'll just throw a fun question, just out of curiosity, and it's kind of unrelated to the topic we were talking about. It's more regarding like kind of game mechanic and game balancing, right? So obviously, I think this is one of the main challenges that a lot of games have, you know, always tried to iterate to make every class or every trait relatively equally balanced, right? And that has obviously been a challenge for quite a few different game development companies and various games, right? Like League of Legends, for example. Do you think that this is something that is also going to be challenging for Illuvium, especially when you release new sets, you release new Illuvials, new characters, etc. And yeah, I'd just love to kind of hear your thoughts on game balancing and whatnot.
Yeah, without a doubt, that's going to be a challenge. I think we would be naive to say that that's not. I mean, it's already been a challenge. We've gone from private beta 1 where we had arena mode, and even throughout that we're pushing hot fixes to balance different characters, and part of that is listening, having a really responsive community to. I'm seeing a few names in the community now where I know that they've been active players and they send through different stuff where, bits of feedback where they're saying this character needs to be nerfed, or we need a little bit more power in this, or this ability doesn't actually make sense, or it doesn't work. And it's already been a challenge. Now, we've got different methods to make it easier for us. Like we can run because the auto battle is deterministic. We're able to run hundreds of thousands of battles using the different characters, and we can get to a stage where we're about 80% of the way there. It's not foolproof, and that's where I say it's still a challenge to get everything fully balanced, but we get about 80% of the way there, and then it requires thousands of hours of playtesting from our QA team, from our game designers, from our internal team, and then what we'll do more so in the future. It's a little bit. We're doing it a little bit less now, just purely because we are still in private beta, and so much stuff is going to change. But the reliance on a super active community will become paramount once we go live, and I think that's really really good that we have an ear to the ground already, and we're so used to listening to feedback from different channels through our Discord and our customer support that we'll need to rely on community members to give us that feedback, and then we can accumulate that feedback and say, take that to the game design team and say, hey, this character is probably not working, and it's not doing what it's intended to do. So yeah, we need to change that. But without a doubt, it's for the game design team. That's going to be one of the biggest challenges. It's something that I speak to our lead game designer about a lot, and that stems from playing games like TFT, where I'm like, this is bullshit. Why is this character like this? It's not even working. You see, after a new set, they do a very similar thing where they gather a whole bunch of feedback after a couple of weeks, and that's why they do that sort of like early access to TFT is because they're trying to get that feedback before it goes out to the 20 million people, and yeah, so definitely something that we think about on a daily basis.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I think you've answered my question. Appreciate you taking the time out to humor me and answer all my questions. Really appreciate it. I'll hand it over to State's Q.
And I'll hand it over to the audience if anyone would like to ask their questions. We do have one request since the beginning of the meeting from, let's see if they're still here. All Hollows, would you like to take the stage and ask your question?
Hey,
All
all
Hollows.
hollow. You should be able to unmute and ask your question now.
Yo, thank you. Cheers, everybody. I just had kind of a point to bring up too, because you guys just announced your GameStop partnership, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, brother, that's massive. With the community that I know, that's even behind the layer 2 and the creators. I mean, we have 56 million subscribers to GameStop, and you don't think they're going to write about Illuvium in the Game Informer? Grats. Good job.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people ask me. I was actually going to write a thread on this yesterday, but a lot of people ask me how we spend so little on marketing, and it's things like this, right, where we spend a lot of time and effort on partnerships, on publications, on our influencer network, and we try and do things that are super effective with little to no cost. And in fact, we've turn this around into a situation where we're likely going to make a lot of profit from this partnership. And you think about that,
Yeah.
yeah, it's exposure to a Web 2 audience which we haven't gotten before and we haven't really gone after before, but it's also a way that we're utilizing Illuvatars, and so many people were like, "What is this? This is a
Truly.
distraction," and all of this kind of stuff. But
Oh,
there's always a method to the madness. There's always a
the
reason
Illuvatars
why.
are
Yeah.
brilliant, man, because you guys only minted what 20,000, right? At
For the
$50 a piece.
For GameStop, yeah, they'll be 20,000 at $50. Yeah.
Brother, do you understand how fast that, like, just even in the collectors alone, from what you have, right? From what you've had a community growing for years, and all of us in the GameStop and Loopring, Ethereum, Layer 2, all of us hearing about it. And, brother, I'm even testing out somebody in our community was so nice. They gave me one of the plots, one of your guys' Illuvium
Oh, yep,
Zero
yep.
plots. And I've been trying it out for the past 3 days, and it really is so simple and fun. And just the idea of like, man, we're really going to be able, you can see it in action of we're going to be able to do so much with this. And my wife is um, really not into playing games at all, but it's so simple that I leave it open and she's able to farm for me, and if it's something that easy to where my wife hates video games, I mean, I'm consumed by it like it's my life. And where she is able to jump on board and just, hey babe, if you don't mind just clicking that whenever it pops up, and she's like, all right. And her whole thing is just, please give me half the credit. It's like, I get it. But something like that, man, is the adoptability. It's brilliant because there are gamers like us where, yeah, we get it. I grew up playing WoW, man. I was in a horde guild back in the day where we had vent. And man, people would come in like, you guys are from the States? And like, yeah. You guys are the top horde guild on the server. It's like, this is all we do. I remember having to farm for Benediction. So Benediction was a healing staff, man, and it took me
I think I
weeks to
remember
figure
this. Yeah.
man, it took me weeks to figure out how to do this, and it was hilarious to have all my guildmates standing there on this hill watching me fail for just days. But I finally got that staff, and brother, what do you think I still have as a skin today is
There you go.
Benediction.
There you
And
go.
if I can sell Benediction as an NFT one day, playing your Illuvium game type of thing, right?
Yep.
That's huge, man. Where it's like I have this one of 100 that it took so much skill to do. Hey, look, I'm done playing this game though. I don't want this to just go to waste in my inventory. I'm gonna pass off to a friend or sell it and I don't know, buy a house. Because really people do see so much value in that of like it's a pride thing. I would have people in org stop just to look at my armor. And I mean, it was
I know. I
wild.
remember back in the day. God, it was so nerdy. I love it though.
Yeah.
It's to be
So
honest, it's yeah, yeah.
I'm
It's
just saying
so
grats to you, man. You guys are I think those who know, and you guys are being very humble. So congrats.
look. I really really appreciate you coming up. It makes it all the more worthwhile. You know, we've been talking to GameStop for the last 18 months, and for it to finally come to fruition, just and have someone like yourself from that community that wasn't exposed to Illuvium and now is playing our games. That's exactly what we want. So thanks so much for coming up.
Yeah, brother. And I just want to let you guys know GameStop's earning call was today. And I'm very active in those Twitter space calls. And we have about I don't know, I think 400 to 500 people in those. And I kept reminding people, I'm like, hey, GameStop is also partnered with Illuvium that you can go and play right now. Like they're not just JPEGs. And
Mm.
man, like they know about your game, bro.
Appreciate it. You're freaking people out now. At this point, they're like, God, I was going to get 20 of those Illumitars. Now I'm only going to be
Oh
able to
yeah,
get
yeah.
5.
Best of luck, and I love that you made it kind of simplified, not having to have people understand. You can put the sunglasses or the yeah, it's all in one. You made the
Mm.
GameStop ones all in one, and that's
Mm-hmm.
brilliant because that is going to drive just even collectability in the GameStop community of yo, I want to be able to support some I don't know rocket ships or whatever you guys do.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be able to support my GameStop one in all of my games one day, and that's a beautiful thing, man. So appreciate you guys.
Cheers, man. Thanks.
Thank you all, Hollows, for a fantastic presence. We have time for another couple of questions, I believe. Does anyone wish to ask Kieran anything except one question? Please request to speak. The account Illuvium itself put their hand up.
Yo, Kieran, out of the what's up? Hey everyone, it's TSG at the back of the Illuvium account. Kieran, out of the GameStop Illuvitas, which one do you want the most?
The Archie, of course.
That is the correct answer.
I got a quick question if no one else wants to raise their hand to ask one, just to kind of fill in the time. Um, is Illuvium Overworld going to open up as an MMO, or is it going to, transition into that? And if it's a transition, how is that going to work? How do you envision that working?
It will transition. So the way that I see it working, and I'm not the game designer, I'm not even on that team, is I want it to be a universe of games that all span out from the overworld. So things like the arena, you walk on over to it, you zoom into it. If you want to go to your land plot, you teleport over to your land plot. If you want to go into the dungeon crawler, you go again all through our base of Sanctum Mesa. You go and teleport into the dungeon crawler, and maybe you have to meet up with friends first, join a party, and then you all teleport into the dungeon crawler and you start playing that. You start going for your loot and getting your weapons and armor and all this kind of stuff. But I think all of it stems from the base, and then it outputs to a whole bunch of other games that are all different genres, and then it's interconnected through the use of NFTs, and then you have that social layer where eventually everyone will be literally running around Sanctum Mesa and then deciding, hey, do we go to the Mario Kart style game, or do we go into the arena and start playing as a team, or whatever it might be. But that's how I see it all coming together. But Aaron's a bit of a wizard when it comes to this kind of stuff. So who knows what he's got in store for us? But we're still it's definitely not opening up as that. But we'll hopefully transcend to that over a sort of 5 to 10 year plan.
That sounds really cool, and honestly, it makes me feel so nostalgic. I was actually looking back at some old gameplay of World of Warcraft, and I just remember like spending so many hours just like sitting on top of the bank in Ogrimmar. So yeah, is
Oh
that
god.
another question? Do you guys have any sort of plans to have like factions? Because obviously in right? You got the PVE and then you've got the PvP. And traditional PvP, you had like, the 2v2s, 3v3s, 5v5s. But then there was also the ability, like on certain servers, right, to be able to kind of do organized raids on like other capital cities, right? Is that something that you guys, thought about or enjoyed?
different in-game guilds and stuff definitely over time, and that's again more once we've hit that MMO style of game where you can go into a group and do a raid, and maybe you need like 50 people to come in, and you can bring your six most powerful alluvials to come into the raid with you, and you've just got a stack of characters that everyone is utilizing at the same time to try and take down this massive boss, which may be a Leviathan. I don't know, but yes, there's definitely plans for that in the future.
Sounds really cool. Yeah, we've got a Tallulah who steps into the stage to ask a question. Would you like to unmute yourself?
Hi. I actually don't have a question. Just talking. Hi, everyone. Just talking from the Illuvium community. State Queen, Giara, and everyone on the call. Like, just come and join us. Where everyone's really welcoming. Myself and others pretty much stream the game, one aspect of the game every day. So, and everyone's really helpful and kind and wanting to have you in there. So just come and jump in and hang out. That's all I had to say. And
Appreciate
awesome
the
show.
invite.
Thank you.
Yeah, Tallulah is one of our. I was calling them super actives. She's probably super active across every. I think you've got land, you've got Illuvatars, you've got pretty much everything. So, yeah, we appreciate you.
Thanks. I appreciate you guys.
Yeah, I do agree that the Illuvium community is most inviting and colorful, and they even have